Hello, today I'm going to tell you about our coursework. The topic of our coursework is testing as one of the ways to test knowledge of English grammar, development of grammar tests on the topic conditional sentences, on the material of online publications of the aviation magazine, Plane and Pilot. The relevance of our work is developing specific tests that will effectively contribute to the learning process. Scientific novelty is expanding and supplement the existing test materials to test the mastery of English grammar on the topic conditional sentences in the field of modern education. Object is developing a series of grammar tests that can be used to test knowledge in the senior stage of mastering a foreign language by students and senior students. Subject is the method of using tests as the main means of controlling grammar skills in English. The purpose of our coursework is considering the psychological and pedagogical aspects and feasibility of using tests as the main way to control grammatical skills of English at the senior stage, analysis of material taught in textbooks and other methodological literature in terms of attention to testing, and development a set of tests aimed at controlling and consolidating grammatical skills of English language acquisition on the topic conditional sentences. The main tasks of our research are consider testing as a method of pedagogical control to analyze the very concept of the test and the types of tests that currently exist and are used, understand the psychological and pedagogical significance of tests in the learning process, investigates the functions of test control, identify the advantages and disadvantages of using computer technology in English language testing, understand the stages of creating a test and its specification, develop grammar tests on the topic conditional sentences on the basis of online publications of the aviation magazine Plane and Pilot, and identify the difficulties that arise in the development and application of tests and ways to overcome them. In our research, we used materials that include theoretical works of scientists studying the issue of tests. For the practical part of the work, we used materials of online publication of the aviation magazine Plane and Pilot and electronic sources of the internet. So let's consider the phenomenon of the test. A test is a set of tasks that mostly require an unambiguous answer, concluded according to certain rules and procedures, involves prior experimental verification, and meets such performance characteristics as validity and reliability. The main feature that distinguishes the test among other methods of knowledge control is the presence of measurement. Psychologists Kettle and Warburton grouped different types of tests into 12 groups. We focus on psychodiagnostic tests, tests aimed at controlling and testing grammar skills in terms of psychology should be in the group of achievement tests. The main purpose of the test of the group of achievements is to assess the success of the acquisition of certain knowledge materials. They are a more objective indicator of learning than the usual for many grades. So, objectivity, uniformity, and efficiency are the advantages that can be attributed to achievement tests. Professor Shatil, who many consider a representative of methodical realism, in his methodology of teaching foreign languages, identifies the following functions of tests: control and corrective, control and warning, control and stimulating, control and training, control and diagnostic, control educational and developmental, control and generalizing. The forms of tests also differ from each other, so distinguish oral and written, individual and group, blank, subject, hardware and computer, verbal and non-verbal tests. Let's take a closer look at computer tests. A number of tests of the integration of computer technology into the process of learning foreign languages have shown that the computer is best suited to the structure of the learning process, best meets the didactic requirements, and provides maximum proximity to real conditions in the language learning process. After analyzing the implementation of computer testing in the learning process, we can conclude that it allows systematically monitor the dynamics and quality of student achievement, get an accurate picture of individual progress in the education of each student, to accumulate on the electronic device the educational achievements of students for certain periods of study, make the learning process more dynamic by increasing the amount of learning materials for the lesson, increase students' interest in the learning process, approach the learning process creatively, and test their knowledge independently, not only under the control of the teacher. According to the measurement criterion, test tasks are divided into two categories. The first category is tests where you can choose the answer from the existing ones, and the second is the test where you need to write your own answer. The most common questions have two parts. The first part is a condition that raises a question that requires students' answer, and the second part is list of answer options where at least one option is correct. Variability of the test is provided by use of facets. Facet is a set of variable elements of the task which are presented in parentheses for unforeseen choices in automated testing. Therefore, in our work, we have created 60 test tasks on the topic conditional sentences, based on the materials of online publications of the aviation magazine, Plane and Pilot. The first part have a facet with options where you need to insert the correct grammatical construction, and the second part is where you need to choose the correct type of conditional sentence. On this slide, we can see the examples of tests which were created for our research. So the first one is where you choose correct grammar construction considering the type of conditional sentences, and the second is where you choose the right type of conditional sentence that is given in the question of the test. It is clear that in order to create quality tests, you need to have a thorough knowledge of the materials. But difficulties also arise from the inability to create a favorable psychological environment for the test. In order to overcome them, prevent the occurrence, and maximize the reliability of the measurement, you need to follow three main steps when compiling the test. Provide clear theoretical, science-based definitions of the skills to be tested. Accurately establish the operations and conditions that must be observed by the student during the test and observation of its passage, and quantify the results of this observation to know exactly that the measuring scales we use have the necessary characteristics. So, summarizing all that has been said in our work, we can conclude that test plays a very important role in learning English at the stage of learning and control of grammatical erudition, skills and abilities of the student. Currently, interest in tracking the quality of knowledge in the form of test control, which can be used at the stage of training, intermediate and final control, only rapidly growing in the educational institutions, thus pointing out that the process of compiling test materials requires a quality approach. In the course of our research, we created a test material that can be used to supplement existing materials for testing grammatical knowledge of English on the topic conditional sentences. These tests will help to control the knowledge of pupils and students on the grammatical topic we have identified. Thank you for attention.